This exercise is a fantastic exercise for strengthening your core, your back, your posture. It's fantastic for any kind of lower back problems, although I wouldn't do it if you have any active disc injuries. And as always, check with your doctor. This strengthens the psoas, which is your deepest hip flexor, and it's the only muscle that attaches your leg to your spine. And the muscle originates on the sides of your spine, of your lumbar spine. It crosses the front of the hip joint and it attaches to your inner thigh. So when you are doing this exercise, you want to feel for something happening really deep in your belly. It's fantastic for strengthening dance posture and posture in general, and for stabilizing your back. So I'm going to go ahead and lie down on your back. And you're going to fold your knees into the chest. And it's a fairly relaxed position here. Note that my heels are just dropping down towards my butt. And I'm going to place my hands on my thighs and my thighs on my hands. I'm actually going to bring them out slightly. And I'm going to draw the shoulders down and then simultaneously press hands into thighs and thighs into hands. And when you do that, you should feel a little something happening right inside, deep inside your belly. And that is your psoas muscle. Okay. Now from here, and you can decide how hard you press. You can make this really light and gentle, or you can press pretty firmly, and so then you can decide how hard this exercise is. Now when you're doing this pressing, make sure your shoulders aren't squeezing up or hiking up towards your ears. You want to keep the shoulders fairly low. So again, we're going to press hands into thighs, thighs into hands. And I'm going to let my right arm win to push my thigh away until the knee is about on top of the hip. And I'm going to let the thigh closer to the camera win to press back. But I am resisting in both directions. Both my hand and my thigh are resisting into each other. Now the thing you want to watch out for here is that as you press away, that your foot doesn't come up like this, because that uses more of your thigh muscle than it does your very deep hip flexor. And we're really focusing on the deep hip flexor. You'll feel it very deep in the belly. Okay. Then after you've done one side a few times, do the other side and notice if anything feels different. You might feel one side more clearly or more strongly. They might feel balanced. If there's any lower back pain or anything like that going on, a lot of times these guys are imbalanced. Okay. Also, as you're doing this, make sure your back ribs stay anchored on the ground. Tendency here can be, as you push away, is that you arch your back, and we want to avoid that. So you do have to use your belly to keep those back ribs anchored. So from here, we're going to start alternating legs, making sure your heel is dropping, your shoulders are low. And if you notice that one side was feeling a little bit weaker than the other side, or just not as clear, you're going to do 2 on that side for every one that you do on the other side. So for me, my left side is the side that I have more trouble with. So I'm doing more reps on the left and less reps on the right. And again, this is an exercise. You can do about 8 to 10 of these. You should feel this pretty strongly in your belly. You can also make this very light and gentle. So I'm just not going to use as much effort. Will look a little different. It's easier on the arms too. And then when you're done, lower the legs down one at a time. So it was important to come in and out of this position one at a time. Doing both can be a really strong pull on the back. And we'll stretch it out a little bit by hugging one knee in towards the chest, reaching the other leg long, pulling your belly down. And just imagine you're pulling the top of your thigh bone down towards the ground and away from your belly. Couple of nice deep breaths there, and then go ahead and switch, keeping the belly pulled in, top of the thigh reaching towards the ground of the stretching leg. Couple of nice deep breaths, and that's the resistive psoas stretch.